The storm had swallowed the city when a tiny black girl found a wallet lying in a puddle, drenched, heavy, and filled with more cash than she'd ever seen in her life. Inside was a name she'd heard whispered by grown-ups and seen on billboards. Edward Langford, one of the richest white men in America. Most people would have seen it as fate, a miracle for a struggling mother and child barely affording rent. But instead, that little girl did something that shocked even the man who owned half the city. By the time morning came, her innocent decision would ignite a chain of events that turned a billionaire's arrogance into humility. Sedonati Atodri and made the world question what true wealth really means. Maya Thompson had worked as a waitress at the Silver Gate, an elite downtown restaurant in Chicago, for almost 7 years. Her shift always began before sunrise and ended long after. The city's lights dimmed. Every day she smiled through exhaustion, balancing trays heavier than her hopes, just to keep the rent paid and her little girl, Nia, clothed and fed. Maya's life was simple, but far from easy. The restaurant's customers rarely looked her in the eye. Some whispered. Others complained that she was too slow, though she was among the fastest on the floor. Across the city, the restaurant's owner, Edward Langford, lived in a world of gleaming marble floors and penthouse views. A powerful white billionaire, Edward was known for his ruthless business sense, charitable speeches, and photo-perfect life. But in truth, he hadn't spoken to a single employee below management in years. That night, Edward hosted a dinner with potential investors. He arrived in a tailored suit, every step echoing authority. When he left hours later, his staff scrambled to clean the table before dawn. But outside, rain poured violently. In the chaos, no one noticed that Edward had dropped something. His wallet, thick with cash, cards, and IDs. Hours later, as the streetlights flickered, a small figure spotted it lying near the gutter. It was Nia, waiting in the shadows for her mother's shift to end. She picked it up carefully, eyes widening at the sight inside. Her fingers trembled. But she remembered something her mother had told her just days before. We don't keep what isn't ours, no matter how much we need it. That night, she slipped the wallet into her school bag, ready to return it herself. The next morning, the sun broke through the rain clouds, glinting off skyscraper glass. Maya stood outside Langford Enterprises with her daughter beside her. The building towered above them like a mountain of wealth. Security guards exchanged uneasy looks as the two approached the reception desk. Maya's voice was gentle but firm. "We're here to see Mr. Langford. My daughter found something that belongs to him." The receptionist, a polished woman in a sharp suit, raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Langford doesn't take unscheduled visitors. You can leave whatever it is here." But before Maya could respond, Nia stepped forward and said softly, "I want to give it to him myself." Her confidence startled everyone in the lobby. Upstairs, Edward Langford was in the middle of a tense board meeting when his assistant entered, whispering about a little girl and her mother demanding to see him. He frowned, irritated. But something about the message caught his curiosity. "Send them in," he said finally. The heavy double doors opened, and in stepped Maya and her daughter, soaked shoes, worn coats, and eyes that carried both fear and determination. The boardroom fell silent. Edward, adjusting his cufflinks, barely glanced up. Then Nia reached into her bag and placed a brown leather wallet on the table. "This is yours," she said quietly. Edward looked at it, confused. His assistant leaned in. "Sir, that's the wallet you lost last night." He flipped it open, every card, every dollar still in place. He stared at the child, then at her mother. "You could have kept this," he said flatly. "Why bring it back?" Maya answered calmly, "Because I taught her that doing the right thing is worth more than anything inside that wallet." The room remained silent until one of Edward's board members muttered under his breath, "You're lucky they didn't sell it." That casual remark, the hint of condescension, cut through the air like a blade. Maya lowered her eyes, used to such comments. But Edward froze. He heard the prejudice hiding in the man's voice, and, for the first time, He felt embarrassed by the company he kept. When Maya and Nia left the building, Edward found himself watching them through the glass. He couldn't shake the image of that small girl, returning something she could have used to change her life. Later that afternoon, Edward drove to the Silver Gate. The staff gasped when they saw him walk in. He ordered a simple coffee and quietly observed Maya working. She greeted customers politely, never once slowing, never once complaining. When he paid the bill, he left an envelope with her name on it. Inside was a note. "You reminded me what integrity looks like. Thank you, Edward Langford." 2 weeks later, Maya was called to the manager's office. Her stomach twisted. She feared she'd done something wrong. But when she opened the door, Edward Langford himself was sitting there, waiting. "Maya," he began, "I couldn't stop thinking about your daughter. What she did, it changed me. She reminded me of something I lost a long time ago. My conscience." Maya blinked in disbelief. Edward smiled faintly. "I want to help. I've arranged a full scholarship for Nia. Tuition, books, everything covered. I also want to fund a community program under her name, one that teaches children about honesty and opportunity." Tears filled Maya's eyes. "Sir, that's too much. We can't accept that." But Edward shook his head. "You're not accepting charity. You're accepting gratitude." As they spoke, the restaurant doors opened and flashes of cameras erupted. The story had leaked. A journalist shouted, "Mr. Langford, how does it feel to be helping a poor waitress and her daughter?" Edward paused, his expression firm. "You've got it backwards," he replied. "They helped me." The next day, headlines swept across every news outlet. "Billionaire's wallet returned by waitresses." "Daughter, honesty sparks change in corporate giant." While the world praised Edward's kindness, he knew the truth. It wasn't his generosity that mattered. It was their dignity. Months later, Maya and Nia's lives looked different. They moved into a better apartment, close to Nia's new school. Edward kept in touch, not as a benefactor, but as a family friend. He visited on birthdays, helped Nia with homework, and sometimes joined them for dinner, sitting on a worn couch that felt more real than his entire mansion. One evening, Maya tried to thank him again, but Edward stopped her. "You and your daughter did more for me than I could ever repay," he said softly. "You reminded me that the world doesn't need more money. It needs more people like you." Later that night, Maya tucked Nia into bed. The little girl looked up and asked, "Mama, was he always nice?" Maya smiled. "No, baby, but you made him remember how." Across town, Edward stared at the skyline from his penthouse window. His reflection looked different now. Less polished, more human. He picked up a framed photo of Maya and Nia that sat on his desk. Below it, the same note he once left at the restaurant. "You reminded me what integrity looks like." He whispered to himself, "That's what real wealth is." The story of one little, black girl returning a white billionaire's wallet didn't just change 2 lives. It reminded millions watching online that honesty and kindness can melt even the coldest hearts. Because sometimes the poorest people have the richest souls.